Tonight, the baby that riveted the nation.
Baby Holly found 40 years later. Tonight here, my exclusive interview with her and what happened. 2020 starts right now. This is the story of a young family, their identities lost and then suddenly found again. A mystery that would defy belief. And it all started with this sudden arrival of a baby.
I heard a knock at the back door. There were two ladies.
They looked like they just walked right out of the Bible. I had never seen anybody like that in my whole life.
They said, we need somebody to take care of a baby. You know, she was a gift from God.
It's like a mystery and a mystery and a mystery.
This is just one of several stunning turns in this story. There would be another in the woods of Houston. So it was days before they actually discovered the two bodies, and they were right here in the woods?
Both bodies were bound.
It was a young man and a young woman.
They likely knew the people who killed them.
The hunt for answers to what really happened in those woods would actually lead investigators across the country and to a second mystery.
Yeah, I'm getting chills too, just talking about it.
What happened to this baby?
My brain just was on fire. How can a child be missing for 40 years and nobody know where she is?
It sounds like a scene from the movie or something, right?
All the pieces started to come together. The woman behind the headline, Baby Holly, who made national news, sharing her journey for the first time from lost to found. Holly, it's great to finally meet you.
Thank you, David.
David Muir reporting, Baby Holly found. The exclusive 2020 event starts right now.
This is the story of a young family, their identities lost and then suddenly found again. A mystery that would span decades, it would crisscross states, defy belief, and it all started with this sudden arrival of a baby.
I heard a knock at the back door. There were two ladies in white.
They looked like they just walked right out of the Bible. I had never seen anybody like that in my whole life, never.
One of them was holding a baby, probably about 8 or 9 months.
They said, we need somebody to take care of a baby.
It was a shock for sure.
But this startling delivery of a baby at the steps of the church is just one of several stunning turns in this story. There would be another major turn thousands of miles away in the woods of Houston.
January 6th. It was a sunshiny day, but it was cool. It was very common for our 3 shepherds to run off through the woods, do their hunting, their barking, their frolicking, whatever they were doing. Me and my friend came back to the house. As we start walking this way, our shepherd comes around the corner and she's got something in her mouth. Well, as she got closer, she dropped that something right in front of us, and it was a human arm. From just above the elbow down to the fingertips. Never imagined that in a million years. I called my parents and told them what had happened. Eventually, the police showed up.
So the call comes in January 6th, 1981.
Yes, so the police came out and then the search began in the area. And back then there wasn't anything here.
Houston is 660 square miles. Back in the 80s, it wasn't anywhere near as developed as it is now.
You got all hands on deck trying to find where this arm came from. There's nothing out there. This is in the sticks, rural Houston.
Not a lot going on Wallacefield Road. You don't imagine anything like that ever happening.
So it was days before they actually discovered the two bodies, and they were right here in the woods?
They were. They're about 100 feet from the roadway and about 50 feet from this access road, right pretty much through this path.
What did the distance into the woods tell you about what might have happened?
Well, the lengths at which they would have had to come back here seem a little odd. Highly vegetated. It's not easily walked. We don't know if they were killed elsewhere and brought to this location or if they were killed at this location.
But the mere fact that they're deep into the woods here means there was an effort to get them back here.
Yes, absolutely.
Investigators start by thinking they're searching for one body. Now suddenly they have the near skeletal remains of two people about 10 to 12 feet apart. What else did they find with these bodies?
Both bodies were bound and appeared that there were not very many clothes in the area. There was a pair of green shorts found.
It was a young man and a young woman, and there was just really very little indication of what had happened.
The medical examiner was able to determine that the female victim had likely died from asphyxiation and that the male victim had likely died from blunt force trauma to the head.
When investigators learned from the ME just how brutal their deaths were, what did that say to you about the people who might have done this?
It tells me that they likely knew the people who killed them because they were bound, strangled, and blunt force trauma. Those are all really up close and personal ways in which you would kill somebody.
The medical examiner in the case is able to determine that the female victim is likely between 15 and 18 years old, the male victim between 17 and 24.
Harris County investigators are really scratching their heads. They're able to put together sketches of the pair's reconstructed faces and put those sketches out to the media, but no one came forward.
In 1980 and 1981, the resources for identifying people were more limited than they are today.
They casted their fingers to try to get fingerprints. You could compare dental records. They did that. They were not able to find any dental records.
This medical examiner's investigator talked about the teeth of these victims being in immaculate condition. You would expect maybe that these are people that people would look for, their relatives, their loved ones, their friends.
So no match on the fingerprints.
Right.
The dental turns up nothing either. There were no IDs on them, no paperwork, no wallets, nothing else attached to these bodies.
Absolutely nothing else that could identify these people. If you don't know who the victim is, you can't really complete any investigative steps. They were just basically labeled a John Doe and a Jane Doe. The case just goes on a shelf.
They were buried right here in this county cemetery. No headstones, no family paying its respects. Instead, Jane Doe and John Doe marked with a simple, nondescript concrete marker here in this strip of land. They are among the hundreds of anonymous souls that have been buried here through the decades. So many families across this country wondering what happened to their loved ones. But in this case, it was about to take a turn.
"40 years of emotions, 40 years of looking."
This case would take years to unravel.
There was a story there. We just didn't know what it was.
And they decide that they are going to figure out who these people are.
There was extraordinary hope because DNA technology was new.
Right.
I picked up the phone and said, I think I just solved this case.
It would make national news.
This is truly remarkable.
A 42-year-old cold case. So many questions.
The Lynn and Klass family have been searching for answers.
Their loved ones were found beaten and strangled to death.
The shock of it is all finally starting to set in.
And the hunt for answers to what really happened in those woods would actually lead investigators across the country into a second mystery.
I'm getting chills just talking about it.
What happened to the baby? It's haunting to stand here in a field full of unidentified remains, and they were just two of them.
Exactly. When you look around just the vastness of the cemetery, and this is one of many.
This Jane and John Doe in Harris County, they quickly become two more victims of what experts call the nation's silent mass disaster, remains left unidentified for decades. This is a problem all over the country.
In the United States, there are over 14,000 unidentified bodies
They are not just case numbers, they have names. And it's important to possibly restore the names to these people.
Back in 1980, 1981, when they couldn't identify these victims, the case remained open, but it was a cold case.
I think it's really important to think about when this murder took place. Pre-internet, pre-cell phone. If you had a missing persons case, you're going and putting signs on telephone poles, on bulletin boards, and you don't know what's happening the next county over.
Fast forward 30 years. 2011, the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences gets a grant.
We've gotten a grant from the federal government to test some of the remains of their most promising cold cases.
This case was definitely top of the list because it was 2 individuals, and it was 2 young individuals. So someone had to be looking for them.
And they actually had to dig up these Jane and John Does.
We took the individuals back to the medical examiner's office. The DNA was extracted and analyzed and put into the system.
There was extraordinary hope because DNA technology was relatively new.
Right.
And yet when you take that DNA and you check it against the criminal database, nothing.
Nothing. No familial matches at all.
So 30 years later, another roadblock.
Yes.
Remember at the time, they only had criminal databases to search. They didn't have all of these family genealogy databases. So they turned to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children for that Jane Doe.
Harris County Sheriff's Office had a Jane Doe case of a person who's under the age of 21. They had a drawing that they were already circulating, so we utilized that image on our missing child poster and distributed that. We did have some leads, but obviously nothing that sparked enough to lead to an identification.
But there would be new hope along the way because over time, advances in DNA technology give rise to what's called forensic genetic genealogy, offering new tools to once again try to identify Jane and John Doe.
Police say one of the most elusive serial killers in American history has been captured.
Until the Golden State Killer case blew the doors open on genealogy, that was something that very few people were even looking at.
The Golden State Killer was a completely separate case, but it was the first major case to actually show the power of genetic genealogy. We begin with that bombshell arrest, the major clue that unlocked this just days ago.
They say cutting-edge DNA testing allowed them to make a match.
We're able to do so much more with investigative genetic genealogy, where you can use the DNA that you have to further your case and find out, are there people related to this case?
My name is Misty Gillis, and I'm a senior forensic genealogist. I love solving mysteries. Ever since I was younger, I read Sherlock Holmes, I read Nancy Drew, I followed true crime all the time.
One of the things that's been really interesting is amateur crime sleuths have played such a big role in bringing these cases to light and solving them. Misty Gillis, she's brought closure to 17 families and identified 1 serial rapist.
In 2020, Misty Gillis is working on cold cases with another genetic genealogist named Allison Peacock.
I got started in this line of work trying to solve some of my own mysteries in my own family. So solving those mysteries is what gave me the tools to be able to help law enforcement.
I had started looking through a website called the Doe Network, which is kind of a clearinghouse for unidentified remains in North America. And I came across this rendering of a male in Texas that was found in 1981. There was something about it that just ignited something in me.
She said there was a male and female found together. This Romeo and Juliet is what she called them. There was a story there. We just didn't know what it was.
They decide they're going to try to figure out who these 2 young people are, this man and this woman, a mystery that no one had been able to solve for 40 years.
Harris County, to its credit, agrees to play ball, and it's off to the races.
Once I started building out the family tree matches, I had DNA matches to the mother's side and the father's side. So I knew that my unidentified remains was from this family. And once I saw that there was 1 male, that was my aha moment of I had figured it out.
After about 10 days, Missy said,
I think I just solved the Harris County Doe. And she said, who is it? And I said, Harold Dean Klaus.
They end up making a call in late October 2021 to a woman named Debbie Klaus Brooks of New Smyrna Beach, Florida.
She asked me, "Are you Debbie Klaus?" And I said, "Yes, I am."
I will remember that phone call for the rest of my life.
We had said on the phone, "Is there anyone missing in your family?" And right away she said, "Yes, my brother Dean."
She says, "Well, because I just want you to know that we found him with a female close by him." And my first thought was, is it Tina?
The immediate next question was, well, what about the baby?
And I was like, baby? What baby? I will remember that phone call for the rest of my life. Yeah, I'm getting chills too, just talking about it. I said, would you happen to have anybody in your family that might have been missing for a really long time?
I said, I had my brother that disappeared about 40 years ago. She says, I just want you to know that we found him. He had been murdered.
We had to say he was found with a female. Can you tell us about his wife? And she said it was Tina.
In just those first moments on the phone, Jane and John Doe suddenly have their names after 40 years of being unidentified. 21-year-old Harold Dean Klaus, 17-year-old Tina Lynn Klaus, and they were a beautiful young couple from Florida.
She said, I've been praying and praying about this for years, that my mom would find out what happened to our brother before she died.
You have two types of feelings. There's a feeling that comes and you can say, we found him, he's gone. And there's another part you're hoping he's not gone.
When I was on the phone with Debbie, she just, went silent. And then a couple of seconds later, she was like,
what about Holly? What about the baby?
And I was like, baby? What baby? My brain just was on fire because I was like, how can a child be missing for 40 years and nobody know where she is?
Debbie was able to share with us a lot of details. They really were just a young family. They had this little girl. They were establishing their own life together, really, when unfortunately that was taken away from them.
To truly understand the story of these families, these two young lives that ended so soon, the real story begins in a small town just south of Daytona Beach, Florida.
I loved growing up here. At that time especially, it was really a small, quiet town.
Just down the road from Daytona. Daytona was the place to go for any kind of action.
Motorcycle week, there's race week, there's spring break.
But New Smyrna is still the quieter, more peaceful place to go and enjoy the beach. Laying in bed at night, you could hear the waves rolling in.
These kids are always running up and down the stairs and jumping in closets, and you know how kids are, scaring each other.
My kids are number one in my life and always have been.
Donna Casasanta is a waitress at a local restaurant. She raised her 6 children, 4 daughters, 2 sons, and all of this after her husband passes away.
They were the glue that held me together, made me whole.
Her second oldest son, Dean, is actually known by the family as Junior.
Oh, he's very rambunctious, very breaking the rules. He's real good at that.
He liked to joke around with us, make us laugh, do silly things.
Dean's family described him as kind to a fault. He would often pick up hitchhikers, much to his family's disapproval.
I don't know how else to put it except to say he had empathy, if you will, for others.
The family says at the time it was also not uncommon in New Smyrna Beach to actually see these groups of young people traveling on foot, often wearing white robes. They would talk about their religious views, and as a teenager, Dean actually traveled with these groups on more than one occasion, but he always returned home.
I seen this young man coming toward me, and I said, oh my gosh, that's Dean. So I ran running up to him like, oh, where you been? Mom's gonna be so mad at you. You're really gonna be in trouble, And
I said, Junior, you can't keep doing this. You will wind up in trouble somehow, some way, and oh, Mom, nah. I can handle it, you know. It's the way it was.
Now back home again, Dean finds a reason to actually stay. Her name was Tina Gail Lynn, and she was a friend of one of his younger sisters.
She was so sweet and so happy. And then the more she was with the family, the more I just fell in love with her.
For her, Dean was it. Nice looking guy. He treated her right. Everything she needed, everything she was looking for, he was the guy to give it to her.
She told me she was in love with him, crazy in love with him. And so she just looked so happy. And the next thing I know, they were married.
It wasn't long before Dean and Tina announced that they were expecting a baby. And then on January 24th, 1980, Holly Marie Klaus was born.
Oh, she was sweet. Chubby, healthy little thing.
They doted over her.
They were so devoted. I mean, absolutely devoted. And I loved the way he took care of his little girl.
It was the spring of 1980, and baby Holly is just a few months old, and this young couple with their new baby decide to move out of state.
They hit the road, and first they drive to Baltimore, Maryland, before then going to Texas, where they first stay with some of Dean's family in Louisville, which is a suburb of Dallas.
Tina was very good about writing letters or a phone call at least once a month. Hey, how you doing? Da, 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 da. And she'd also send pictures of Holly. Early October, we got a letter from Tina. It said, we've got a place of our own. And she was excited and happy about it. And she gave me that address. And I wrote back to her, I know within the same week, within days. And my letter came back marked moved, left no forwarding address. And I thought, what's going on? So I think worry started once a month, 45 days go through, and there's no letter, there's no updated pictures of Holly. There's something not right about this, you know, that's not like them.
And then all of a sudden, Donna gets an interesting phone call.
The man's voice was rough.
Kind of raspy.
This man on the phone now with Dean's mother tells her that he has something that belongs to her son, and he wants to return it.
I warned her that I don't think this is legit, Mom. You better be very careful.
The man said, meet me at Daytona 500 Speedway, 12 o'clock, midnight. And I'm thinking, 12 o'clock midnight, that don't sound right.
It's now been a few months. No word from Tina and Dean Klaus. That steady stream of letters about them and their baby has stopped. So Dean's mother, Donna, calls family in Texas, and all they know is that the young couple and their baby are gone.
What's going on? She was happy. They just got their own place. This can't be. Why would they have left? I was just very suspicious.
After some time passes, you're like, how do 3 people just disappear?
A couple months after Donna stops hearing from Dean, she gets this weird phone call.
The man's voice was rough.
Kind of raspy.
And he told me that their car had been found in LA.
It's the same car that just the spring prior had pulled out of Donna's driveway with Dean, Tina, and little baby Holly. And now this man, presenting himself as a detective, calls and claims that the car was found empty and abandoned in LA. Didn't make sense.
Half tank of gas.
Keys in ignition.
Nothing wrong with it.
Wipe
And it
clean.
was parked in this nice neighborhood.
When she said, have you found my son? You don't think about my son? He told her, well, ma'am, between California and Texas, there's a lot of desert. No detective would tell a mother, a grieving mother, that. And I knew right away this was not a detective.
This man on the phone tells Donna that he knows people who will drive the car from LA to Florida. All they want is $1,000 for their troubles. And Donna remembers that she reluctantly agreed to this, but she didn't feel good about it.
She agrees to meet this person at the Daytona Speedway. It sounds like a scene from a movie or something, right?
And I'm thinking, 12 o'clock midnight, that don't sound right, you know.
Donna is a waitress at that time in a restaurant frequented by law enforcement. So she talks to some of these guys.
And they said, yes, Donna, do it, we'll be there. You don't have to worry, we will be there. The woman pulled Junior's car up, got out. I would guess her age, late 20s, early 30s. And then she had two girls, and they also stepped out.
And they had robes on.
Yes. I said, I've been searching for my son. Let me just call him. I'll talk to him on the phone. I'll know his voice.
And then this older woman who went by Sister Susan just said that Dean and Tina had renounced their worldly possessions and their past lives, joined this religious group, and they weren't going to be hearing from them anymore.
And she said, he's no longer part of your family. He's our family now. And I think that broke Mother, I'm sure. I mean, it would me as a mother.
The police stepped in then, and he told me, go ahead, take your car and go home. I checked with the police a few days later, and they said nothing they could do because they hadn't broken any rules, except they brought your car back to you.
Donna told me that she was concerned, but Dean had joined these groups before, so she had no reason to believe that he wouldn't return home at some point.
Coming out of the hippie movement in the mid-70s, there was a whole entire movement of people becoming involved with these religious-based organizations.
When the baby boomers were hitting their early 20s, they were looking for answers, they were trying to figure out their direction in life.
All these groups had very similar names as well. They all wore white robes. They were all traveling around the United States.
Authorities say that the woman at the Speedway didn't reveal this at the time, but investigators would later discover that Dean and Tina had traveled with members of a group called Christ Family.
The Christ family seems to have grown slowly, beginning probably around 1969 or 1970. There was around a person who came to be known as Jesus Christ Lightning Amen. His birth name was Charles McHugh. The three main doctrines of the Christ family were no killing, no sex, and no materialism.
Followers of the Christ family often surrendered all of their possessions. They used the phrase "in the wind" to describe their travels around the country. This nomadic lifestyle wasn't easy with children, let alone babies, and people who've studied this particular group said children were reportedly handed over to relatives or others to take care of them while their parents traveled.
I knew Tina would do whatever Dean wanted to do, so I did believe they may have joined a group, but I still figured that we'll get a call or they'll show up sometime, because I couldn't believe Tina would really totally give up family.
Because they're adults, you can't list them as missing because they have freely chosen to just disappear. So the only recourse for the family at that point in 1980 was to contact the Salvation Army.
When most people think about the Salvation Army, they think about people ringing bells with red buckets, asking for donations around Christmas time. But actually, the Salvation Army did assist families in looking for missing loved ones, especially when law enforcement was unable to get involved.
They were going to search the driving records, and then they said, well, we're going to search their Social Security numbers. They had me write an open letter to Tina, but none of the efforts ever went anywhere. Holly's birthday, I would think about her and think, you know, do they have a cake, and what kind of toys is she liking now? And I thought about them a lot.
Honestly, after the years go by, you hit year 5, you hit year 10, you hit year 20. The year 40 comes by, life's still going on. And then you get news like we did. Very frustrating, very painful. The thought of not knowing was over with, but that only brought another section of it is, Where was Holly? What happened? We don't have the full story.
Early November of 2021, we have IDs on the unidentified human remains, but no one knows what happened to the infant. We know what mom looked like. We know what dad looked like. So we created what's referred to as an age progression and just start putting the pieces of the puzzle together to figure out, where is this baby?
Was she given up? Was she left somewhere? Was she, God forbid, murdered herself?
There were no remains, no evidence that baby Holly was ever in those woods in Houston. So this really begged the question, what happened to baby Holly?
It's one of those moments that I will never forget.
This is a really incredible turn.
When I looked at the records, I was just like, holy crap.
This case had been cold for decades.
That headline grabbed me. After 40 years, murdered couple finally identified. Where is their missing baby? And I thought, wow, what a complete mystery, what a puzzle. I knew I had to do a podcast on this.
It felt a little bit like, those Russian nesting dolls. How often do you sort of get a story that is, it's like a mystery and a mystery and a mystery and a mystery?
When you're hearing the story and asking, what happened to 1-year-old Holly? Did you find a baby with them?
2 tragedies solved. 1 mystery remains.
At the time when I did the story, I'm a reporter with KHOU 11 News. You're in this moment of figuring out 2 mysteries simultaneously, and then all of a sudden you have this other mystery unearthed out of nowhere.
Dean and Tina's families decide that they want to actually travel to the very spot where the bodies were found. And to my surprise, they asked me to come along.
We planned the trip down to Texas to try to celebrate finding them, and the not knowing part about Holly through all that was excruciating. It weighed heavy on all of us.
We had to clear the path.
It was a tough trip. Just going to visit that site, it was really emotional. And my mom's health's not that, she can't walk very well, and there's all these obstacles, But she really wanted to go.
And so we made a way to get to that spot.
He was physically holding her up, right? And spiritually, he was holding her up as well.
It was very remote. There was some sun shining through the trees. It was very quiet, it was very peaceful. But yeah, it was hard. It was very hard for all of us.
We went to the pauper's field. They're all unmarked. We had a prayer and just kind of shared with each other some precious moments that we remember.
We never got the last chance to see him or say goodbyes. It's nothing seem right.
The family immediately knew they had to come be here to pay their respects.
Yeah, they all traveled together to come do that.
And suddenly, in a field of people who are unidentified, you had one family standing here saying goodbye finally to their loved ones.
All of the years they were just hoping that they were living somewhere, having a happy life, and now all of a sudden they're being told that that is not what happened. And in addition to that, they don't know where Holly is.
So this is a really incredible turn to this story. And 4 hours north of Houston in Lewisville, Texas, a detective there opens a missing persons case for this little baby. Remember, Lewisville, Texas is the last known address for this young couple and their baby before they suddenly disappeared in late 1980.
My name is Craig Holloman. I am a detective with the Lewisville Police Department. I knew that Dean and Tina had been there kind of October-ish time frame. When I interviewed his family that lived close to Lewisville, they did say that they stayed with them, and after about a month with them, they found their own apartment, and then as quickly as they came in, they disappeared.
One of the first things Detective Holloman tries to do is track down Holly's birth certificate. Easy, not so much.
I figured, well, maybe I can call to the state of Florida to get somebody to help me out. I eventually talked to somebody on the phone, no help.
And right around the time that this detective hits this major roadblock, there's actually a new cold case unit getting off the ground at the Texas Attorney General's office.
A need was really identified to say that there aren't enough resources being dedicated to cold cases around the state of Texas.
When we first received the case, we realized it had two parts: a missing infant, baby Holly, and then we knew there was also a double homicide. We needed to find baby Holly. That probably held a lot of answers about what happened to her parents. We thought that either Holly had been kidnapped and, God forbid, had grown up in very bad circumstances, or had been murdered along with her parents. When you work these cases, usually they don't have a very happy ending.
Investigators are trying to unravel this knot of yarn. They try to get baby Holly's original birth certificate for what seems like it should be a really simple ask. Hey, can we get this birth certificate? And they just run into a brick wall.
And that was hard for us to understand as law enforcement. What do you mean you couldn't get the birth records?
We reached out to the Florida AG's office, and they eventually linked us up with a detective with the Volusia County Sheriff's Department, Steve Wheeler.
It all started with an email. March 18th, I remember that date. My sergeant said, "Hey, Steve, see if you can help Texas out with this case that we're." I drafted up a subpoena, but the Florida Department of Health advised that my subpoena would not be sufficient to provide me these documents. And I asked why. They just said they were sealed.
Instantly, I had a feeling she's alive. Baby Holly's alive. There are only a few reasons why you'd want to seal a birth record, and one of those reasons is an adoption.
I drafted up a court order and told the judge these documents unsealed could find Holly, she could still be alive, or these documents could lead the state of Texas to the suspects in her parents' murder.
And after all this time, a judge finally delivers what detectives have been waiting for.
Hey, Mindy, this is Detective Steve Wheeler. When you get a chance, call me back.
Detective Wheeler left me a message saying, "You need to call me."
When I got the email and looked at the records, I was just like, holy crap. I'm thinking maybe we had a big breakthrough.
We had names, and that was huge. We did not know if these adopted parents were innocent, caring, loving parents, or had details about a heinous homicide. At that point, it was all hands on deck.
Once we uncovered that sealed birth certificate in Florida, it blew wide open.
It was one of those moments that I will never forget. I knew this was about to change someone's life forever.
All the pieces started to come together.
Baby Holly has been located, alive and well, 42 years later.
Holly, it's great to finally meet you.
Thank you, David. It's really nice to meet you.
How often do you sort of get a story that is, it's like a mystery and a mystery and a mystery and a mystery?
And the case all begins with this gruesome discovery in the woods. So it was days before they actually discovered the two bodies, and they were right here in the woods?
Both bodies were found.
It was a young man and a young woman, badly decomposed.
Someone had to be looking for them.
We had to get her back here.
The hunt for answers to what really happened in those woods would actually lead investigators across the country and to a second mystery.
We had said on the phone, is there anyone missing in your family?
The immediate next question was, well, what about the baby?
And I was like, baby? What baby? My brain just was on fire. How can a child be missing for 40 years and nobody know where she is?
It sounds like a scene from a movie or something, right?
I was just like, holy crap.
This was about to change someone's life forever.
The woman behind the headline, Baby Holly, who made national news, sharing her journey for the first time from lost to found. Holly, it's great to finally meet you.
Thank you, David.
David Muir reporting, Baby Holly found. The exclusive 2020 event continues right now.
Dean and Tina Claus were found strangled and beaten to death in 1981 in a wooded area near Houston.
Authorities were unable to identify the couple after they were found, but last year genetic genealogy was used to identify them.
When these genealogists reached out to this family and they make this connection, suddenly a question.
What about the baby? What about Holly?
It is the central question of this case. Is baby Holly still alive? And investigators have finally unlocked the key to figuring out what happened to her, the adoption records from 1981.
She was adopted in Arizona. We had names of adoptive parents. We had locations, things that we could investigate.
Investigators discovered that baby Holly was adopted by a couple in Yuma, Arizona. Their names are Philip and Constance McGoldrick. And the question is, who are they?
I was just like, holy crap. These are the adoptive parents. We don't know what their involvement is.
There is a letter written by Philip that Tina signs giving up Holly to him. There was also another letter that is presumed to have been written by Dean, also giving up custody of Holly.
We went right away trying to find the adoptive parents, where they were living now. We started using public records database checks, social media checks. We were fairly certain we had found Philip's Facebook profile. And we discovered that Philip McGoldrick, the adoptive father of Holly, lived in Oklahoma. However, Holly's adoptive mother still lived in Arizona.
I did a search for all Holly Maries with that same exact date of birth. And I looked at the driver's license photos of all of them. And just based on how she looked compared to Tina, I picked out which Holly Marie it was.
Investigators are almost certain that the woman they find online is baby Holly, a waitress living in a small town in Oklahoma. She's 42 years old, and she's a mother.
Finding Facebook profile for baby Holly was a very unreal feeling. I think it just brought us a lot more hope that there's more to be done on this case.
But you just never know about people through social media, so we needed to see more about these individuals. We did not know if these adopted parents were innocent, caring, loving parents, or if they had details about a heinous homicide. We had questions that led us to Arizona and questions that led us to Oklahoma.
So we developed a plan.
A team would go to Arizona to talk with the adoptive mom of Holly, and then a team would also go and talk with Philip, her adoptive father, and then Detective Holloman and I would go and speak with Holly.
June 7th, 2022, and this multi-state operation is launched.
That was very, very tense time. Our investigators that went to contact Philip didn't find him. And so we were concerned that our timing was off. And, Mindy and Detective Holloman are visiting Holly at her place of work.
I was nervous and anxious and excited and all of those things all at the same time. And I'm one that I'd rather we need to get this ball rolling. We pulled up and parked on the side of the building opposite of the drive-through.
We were sitting there outside that diner thinking, we're about to change this woman's life forever. That was a daunting task.
We're standing out in front of the building. I had my gun and badge on, so it was pretty evident that I couldn't stand out there for very long without people inside starting to talk about what's going on. We did it oddly through the drive-through window because the building was still closed. They hadn't opened yet.
We asked to speak with Holly, and we heard a voice say yes. Detective Holloman immediately said, Holly, can we talk to you? I want to tell you a little story. Yeah.
Thanks for doing this. This is your chair here.
Mm-hmm.
Are we good? We're all rolling?
Yeah, we're all rolling. We're all good.
Holly, it's great to finally meet you.
Thank you, David. It's really nice to meet you.
June 7th, 2022. You're at work. Do you remember how busy the restaurant was that day?
Extremely. Because we were shorthanded, I think, mainly. But we did have a huge order we were trying to work through.
And you remember hearing someone approach the drive-through window? There are two people standing there.
with guns and badges.
And what were you thinking?
What in the world am I about to get myself into? That's what I was thinking. Why would they be wanting to talk to me?
That moment was intense. I'm a fast talker, so it's like a fire hydrant of information.
He asked me, he said, "Do you know anything about your birth parents?" And I told them that I thought they joined a cult, and I believe, they must have died.
And what did they say to you?
They said, yes, they are dead, but they were murdered.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I know that they handed you a photo. This is the photo they gave to you?
This was a face to a name. Means the world. Changed my whole world, this little picture right here. Really did.
How so?
You can see how happy and loving they are.
When I handed that to her, she just broke down. She'd never actually seen a picture of her mother, and then when she saw her mom, it was quite overwhelming for her.
Do you see yourself in their faces?
I do. I see my children in them. I see me.
After we talked to Holly, she was able to get Philip on the phone.
Philip, of course, is the pastor who adopted her. And he told us about the moment they came to the door. You got that call from Holly on June 7th, 2022.
Yes.
And she told you detectives wanted to talk with you.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think?
I looked on my Ring camera, and I saw these two gentlemen standing outside my door. I thought, well, finally we'll get some answers. So I was anxious to show them the birth certificate. I didn't realize it until about halfway through the interview that I was a suspect.
We knew Holly was alive, but how did this come to be?
The story that Philip is about to tell investigators deepens this mystery even more. Why did these women in white bring this baby to the church that day?
The sun shines every day here. It's the sunniest city in the world. My name is Yvonne Peach, and I'm the general manager and owner of the historic Coronado Motor Hotel in Yuma, Arizona. In the 1980s, I'd run the hotel from in the morning until the evening, and I'd just watch the traffic go by. That was kind of like my job. And this one day, when I seen this group of people walking down the street, to me, it was like they were walking right out of the Bible.
And on that particular day, those figures in white were actually headed toward a Seventh-day Adventist church right there in Yuma, where Philip McGoldrick worked as pastor.
I was getting ready for an evening service, and I heard a knock at the back door. And as I looked around the hallway, I could see through the glass window that there were two ladies in white. They had white robes all the way down, they were barefoot, they had white head coverings.
And when you went to the door,
I asked them, can I help you? Instead of asking for food or money, they said, well, we need somebody to take care of a baby. And I'm thinking, oh, they need a babysitter. And then they explained, no, we need someone that would take this baby and raise this baby.
What was their demeanor?
They were hot and sweaty, and they looked like they were in need. I'm still thinking, who could I give this baby to? And then it suddenly struck me, it's me, because my wife and I had one daughter, and we'd been praying for another child. And when I went to the car, I saw this baby girl, blonde, blue-eyed, just like one of my family. The older lady said, this is the mother of the child, and she joined our group to dedicate her life to God in that way.
Is the woman who they say is Holly's mother standing right there, is she distraught? Is there any emotion as she's looking at you?
She had very little emotion at that time. I'm sure there was emotion going on inside, but whether it was brainwashing or drugs or something going on, She seemed to be containing it.
Were you puzzled at all as to why she would want to give up a perfectly healthy, beautiful little girl?
Yes, obviously. It was a very strange thing to happen. And my wife at the time, Connie, kept asking, "Are you sure you want to do this?" "Yes, I'm sure I want to do this."
And you were convinced that if you didn't say yes,
they would find somebody else.
That this baby was going to be dropped off someplace else.
Yeah.
So you decide to adopt baby Holly.
Yeah.
What were the next steps to make this official?
On Monday morning, I just looked up a lawyer in the phone book. He says, "We'll put advertisements in the newspaper." So they put things out saying there's a baby that's been abandoned. And after 6 months, she said, if they don't come back, then you can go through the adoption process, and they didn't.
If there was any idea that Philip might have been a suspect, those were put to bed. He was able to produce things that he had kept over the years that were helpful to our investigators.
So as all of this is unfolding, investigators also visit Holly's adoptive mother, who still lives in Arizona, and she confirms Philip's story. And investigators also clear her as any potential suspect in the murders of Dean and Tina.
They just truly were the people who adopted Holly and gave her a great childhood.
So here you have this beautiful little girl.
Mm-hmm.
What was she like?
She was very sweet and fit in very well. If you look at pictures, you see them. Sally, that's my older daughter, and Holly just hugging on each other. They looked like they were made for each other. To me, adoption, it doesn't make any difference. She was a gift from God.
As the years pass and Holly begins to grow up, her family changes too. The mother and father who adopted her, Philip and his wife, they divorce. He takes full custody of Holly, and they actually leave Yuma, Arizona, and eventually settle outside Tulsa, Oklahoma. Your father told you from an early age where your parents went. How did he explain that?
Well, he told me that they joined the religious nomadic group. In order to join this group, they had to give up their worldly possessions, their children.
When you think back now about that little baby who was being handed over, what goes through your mind?
Well, I think a lot of hurt.
Holly spent so much time as a child wondering about her parents. Where were they? She'd been told that they had left with, a religious group. And so here she is, this young girl, and in 1993, suddenly on all of the TV screens, the events unfolding at that compound in Waco, Texas.
We were in class, and they wheeled the TV in so that we could watch live news of Waco.
The Branch Davidian complex in Waco, Texas goes up in flames. In less than an hour, there is total devastation. Only 8 people are known to have survived. David Koresh is not among them.
It was really heartbreaking for me to watch.
Why?
I see a cult being on TV, and knowing that my parents joined a cult, I just, they've got to be there, right? I grieved for those who were there and even mourned my parents.
Even though her parents were never in Waco or part of the Branch Davidians, and as she grew older, her questions grew about her parents.
I started getting really curious about my biological family.
So, I gave her the copy of the birth certificate. She had the names on there. And at the top it said New Smyrna Beach. And I said, Holly, let's just go to Florida.
So you had your birth certificate. You go back to Florida, and you were trying to get the records unsealed.
I wanted my birth records. I wanted to know, if there was any note in there from my parents, if there was an address, something.
And when you went there and asked for that, what did they tell you?
That I was not old enough. I needed to come back when I was 18 to be able to get those records. They wouldn't give it to me or my dad. I was heartbroken. I was devastated. That's when I finally accepted the fact that I'm just not supposed to know.
And it was at that point, when they tell her she's not old enough to get these records, that she essentially stops thinking about meeting her biological family until that fateful day 30 years later.
I get a phone call from my sister Terry. She goes, "Are you sitting down?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sitting in my car. Why?"
Baby Holly has been located alive and well 42 years later.
She goes, "They found Holly."
and you're about to see the incredible moment when Holly finally meets her biological family.
I thought my heart would stop.
In 1981, 2 deceased individuals were discovered in the wooded area in Houston.
In early June, I get this tip that, hey, things may be happening here. The Texas Attorney General's office was going to have a press conference.
We learned this couple had an infant daughter named Holly, and so the search for baby Holly began. I'm excited to announce that baby Holly has been located alive and well 42 years later.
And the story just exploded. I mean, it was like riding a rocket.
It went viral. Everyone and their brother wanted in on this story. All the national networks were covering it.
40-year mystery solved. Baby Holly found alive.
It is a story gripping the nation. The missing baby of a couple found murdered in a wooded area near Houston in 1981 has been found alive.
Holly Marie is alive. I couldn't believe it. Everyone wanted to know where Holly Marie had been for 40 years, what she had been doing for 40 years.
Holly says her life in Oklahoma has been a happy one, grounded in faith and in family. She married her husband Troy when she was 18. You get married. And how many children do you have?
5. My pride and joy.
I can see it in the smile.
What makes this life worth living for? Family is treasure.
When you think back to June 7th, the day they showed up and gave you so many answers all at once. I mean, here you are sitting across from them, a mother, a grandmother, a wife, trying to do your job that day. And suddenly everything changed. The headlines, the media attention, people all over the country knew you. What was that like?
It was really overwhelming. I went from nobody caring a world about me to all of a sudden everybody wanting to know my story, wanting to talk to me. Crazy.
So many people wanted to talk to Holly, but no one more than her biological family who'd been waiting for years back in Florida. They had just been told days earlier that Holly has been found.
I get a phone call from my sister Terry. She goes, "Are you sitting down?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sitting in my car." Why? She goes, "They found Holly."
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, you know, and she just couldn't believe it.
So I went straight to Mom's house, and I remember just trembling, just shaking. It was just pure joy.
She came to the house and she goes, "Mama, I got some good news." I said, "No more news, I can't take it," because I thought it was bad.
No, Mom, it's good news. Very, very good news, and that's why I told her they found Holly. Oh, you know, and she just couldn't believe it.
I thought my heart would stop because I was just overwhelmed with, thank you, Jesus, you know.
The same day that investigators made contact with Holly at the diner, they told her that her family had gathered and they were ready to meet her.
I asked her if she would like to set up a Zoom call with her family, and she responded, "What is a Zoom call?"
I was in shock. I couldn't believe it. Are you serious? These people gathered already for me to talk to me?
And when that Zoom turned on and the faces start popping up, could you see yourself in the faces of your family?
You know, I could see resemblances from my kids.
In that moment, suddenly your family grew.
It did, in just a moment.
It was a little nerve-wracking at first, but the moment she started talking, I felt like this is where she belongs.
We got to talk to her a little bit and just introduce ourselves to who we are. It was wonderful.
But I knew they'd been searching for me for a long time. So I loved them for that. And I could hear in their voices the hurt and pain that they had to suffer from not knowing all those years of what happened to all of us. I knew right then that they truly did love me.
Did you somehow feel whole after all this time of waiting?
complete, I would say. Complete.
And then, decades after she disappeared, Holly and her biological family are finally reunited, face to face.
Oh my goodness. I know you from your picture.
Tell me about the first moments when you saw your biological family, the hugs.
That day, I'll never forget. I love you. Thank you. Thank you for all your prayers. To hold them, to love on them. Greatest feeling in the world.
It's great to finally meet you.
Yes,
Oh
thank you.
You look just like Tina. I can't believe it.
You got all these people wanting to hug you and to tell you they love you and to know about you.
This is bittersweet, you know.
And Grandma Donna?
She is something else. She's a great prayer warrior that I'm proud to call Grandma, for sure.
You know, at this reunion, they actually show Holly the baby book that her mother, Tina, had lovingly prepared, the notes she had written. The last photo was dated October 1980, and that was just a month before Holly was dropped off at the door of that church in Yuma.
Here she wrote down where I sat alone, where I crawled.
Tell me, what did she write?
She wrote, Holly stood in her bed, holding onto the rail for the first time, September 5th of 1980, 7 months old. She was very meticulous in putting together her baby book for me and writing on the back of every little photo. That showed me how much she really did care and love for me.
How then do you explain to yourself how they were able to give you away?
I can't. Knowing and seeing the love they shared for me, I just can't fathom that they would want to do that.
As we sit here today, 40 years later, you still have so many questions.
I do. So many unanswered questions.
Who are these women in white? Is there some link between these groups and the disappearance and murder of my parents?
And those unanswered questions actually inspire Holly to write a book about her journey called Finding Baby Holly.
Are they the villains in my story or heroes?
People have very different takes about that group.
They were insinuating that we were involved in the murder.
Did they see something they shouldn't have seen?
You have a hunch that your parents were trying to leave.
I do, and I believe that they knew too much.
Authorities say she was left at a church in Arizona by two women belonging to a religious group.
Since June of 2022, when baby Holly first made national headlines, the public scrutiny, the questions, the speculation around this nomadic religious group, Christ Family, has only intensified.
We knew from the family that Dean and Tina had set off with the Christ Family. We're fairly certain they traveled from Louisville to Arizona with this group, were with the group when they gave Holly up for adoption.
Now you have to remember that at the time that Dean and Tina are affiliated with Christ Family, the group was actually being led by a charismatic leader, a man named Charles McHugh. He was actually known by his followers as Lightning Amen. And all these years later, a small number of people still live by these teachings in Hemet, California.
Welcome to Eman's house. I'm going to show you the inside of the bus first. I've been here for 30 years. This was our second vehicle when we were all walking in faith on the road. And we keep this as a guest room. We rebuilt the place. And all our gardens. And so we grow the vegetables and the flowers. We got lots of rabbits. They're our friends. They know they have a sanctuary here. I had a deep yearning to know God.
I joined in the fall of 1979. You're just out there barefooted telling people that God wants us to stop killing each other and the animals too.
I'm Stephen Kent. I'm a retired sociology of religion professor. I've studied controversial groups, new religious groups, and so on. I interviewed Lightning Amen in 1989.
Okay, so there's a lot of difference when God feeds you or tells you the word, and you become all good and there isn't any wrong in you, man.
It's getting close to the end of the world, and I shall conquer. You know, I joke about it a lot. It's serious business, of course, but the odds are just right.
In speaking with former members of the group, it became clear that the attraction to this group was very powerful. And it makes you wonder, could that pull explain why Dean and Tina chose to walk away from their family?
I could see, if you're a seeker, what his charisma would be. I could also see how critics would say this is all just nonsense.
But it wasn't just the Christ family's practices that concerned outsiders. It was also Lightning Amen's criminal history.
He had been arrested in California for drugs and some other issues involving children. So of course, as investigators, that raises a flag.
He has a spiritual interpretation about everything that went wrong against him. Everything was a plot by Satan to attack him and so on.
Lightning Amen was eventually convicted in 1990 on the possession and sale of drugs. And he was charged with 3 misdemeanor counts of molesting or annoying a child and pled guilty to one of those charges. He died in 2010.
People have very different takes about that group. You know, there are people in the group who said they never saw anything bad ever, and then there are people who describe being brainwashed.
I really believe that they tried to leave the cult, that they were leaving when they were murdered. I really believe that.
That's what your gut and your heart tells you.
Right.
But you don't have the proof of that.
I don't. I really feel that they came to a point where maybe, you know, they had second thoughts and, you know, wanted to get away from the cult, I think, and were murdered while doing so.
I know if they joined this cult, they were not told the truth, that the children were given away. They must have believed that we've got to get out of this.
Leaving is as easy as joining. You just say, brother, sister, I'm just not feeling this.
You either are of it or you're not. Nobody's going to come chasing after you.
The people that 2020 visited in Hemet, California, hoped that in some way, by speaking out, they might try to offer insight as to why they believe Holly's parents might have left her at that Yuma church.
Well, I know it's hard for people, you know, in a regular worldly life to even imagine giving up your child. It's very rare that a child would be dropped off like Holly was. Usually, children went to grandparents or to the other spouse.
To this day, Holly and her biological family remain convinced that Dean and Tina's murders are somehow connected to their affiliation with Christ's family. Do you think it's possible this religious group killed them?
I don't believe that the group that we have encountered today, as in the people that we've interviewed, have any knowledge or were involved in anything, but I certainly believe that fringe members of the group could have possibly done this.
This cold case team is convinced that the key to solving this case is still out there. Could missing evidence in the woods finally link the scene to the killer?
We are out searching the area.
So you think those items, the few items that were found here, could hold the clues?
They could.
And you're about to hear from a woman who was part of Christ family right around the time that Dean and Tina were also part of the group, right around the time they disappeared. And what she told me is eye-opening. Is this Sister Susan?
Initially, they were across the road at a home.
You're gonna take us in?
Yep.
We know that Dean and Tina had left their families, left their baby to be part of this religious group. The discovery here in the woods, they weren't wearing white robes.
Right. They were not found with the robes. We can't determine, though, if they had them on and they were carried away by animals. You know, there's a lot of variables there. We just don't know.
Is it a possibility that they had tried to leave this religious group?
It absolutely is, and that is actually one of the theories that we have. The fact that they're even together tells us that it's possible they had already left the group, and because this is on the I-10 corridor, maybe they were trying to get back to Florida.
Maybe trying to get back to their family.
Right.
The items that were found here in the woods, and there were only a couple of them, where are they now?
We don't know where they are. Harris County does not have possession of them. They did a full audit of their system, and they never showed that those items were ever in their custody.
All these years later, there's an extraordinary mystery still here in the woods.
I hope that this being broadcasted will spark some memories for people.
So investigators haven't given up.
No, and we never will. Today we are out searching the area where Tina, Lynn, and Dean Klaus were located, murdered in 1981.
All right. All these years later, they are still working this. Investigators invite us to the scene where they're hoping to find something, anything, that might crack this case.
So we need something to give us some leads in this case. We need the evidence.
It's picking up for multiple metals.
We went out and did a ground search of the areas that we knew the bodies had been found in.
Something in that pile right there. Right here.
Which incidentally were also areas that the dogs indicated it.
That's promising.
I don't know what those are.
Unfortunately, though, we did not find anything today.
You've got to just make sure you've checked every box. You never know what you're going to find.
Every piece of information is so important in a cold case. You really have to be patient and wait for those pieces to come in.
The cold case unit of the Texas Attorney General's office gave 2020 an unprecedented look inside the case, sharing details, new questions, new clues that they actually hope will move this investigation forward.
This is just a really hard case because we don't have a lot to work with.
Things were just handled differently in the 80s.
Yeah.
We're looking at a short timeline altogether for all of the events. We know that Tina and Dean were in Louisville the beginning of October. They all of a sudden abandoned their apartment and they're just gone. We know that Holly was given up on November 8th. They've only been gone for a month and Holly's already being given up. And then ultimately they're found at the beginning of January of 1981.
Our question is how they got there, how they went from Yuma back to Houston, Texas.
Even that location off of Wallaceville Road in 1980, 1981, this is not an easy place to get to. Not only that, when you're looking at the photos, you do see that the gate is locked.
I don't think that they were brought to this area and then killed. I think they were already killed and then somebody drugged them through.
If you just want to dump bodies, you're sure making it difficult on yourself.
You know, one of the things they're convinced of is investigators say they believe the killer knew the area, that area in Houston. So they believe that finding anyone who came in contact with the couple or knew who they were traveling with will be critical to this case.
All the tips that have come in, we've not had anyone say they remember traveling with Dean and Tina, correct?
Correct.
Nothing in your investigation so far has indicated to you that the religious group was involved. I mean, if anything, they were wanting to help figure this out.
That was my impression of them. They wanted to give us other names of people who might have known them, might have traveled with them.
There have been so many questions about that car being handed back to Dean's family at the Daytona Speedway, and we found the woman who brought that car back, Sister Susan. Sister Susan tells 2020 that we can record her voice, but didn't want her face shown because of all of the scrutiny that Christ's family has faced with respect to this case.
Hi there.
Hi there, it's David Muir. Is this Sister Susan?
It is.
Let me ask you, if you could, take me back to late 1980. You were in your group. They said, would anyone take the car back? Did you ask what happened to Dean and Tina?
Well, it was pretty common knowledge. The car that was Dean and Tina's, it was already there, and they had already hit the wind.
They were gone.
Yeah.
Did you ever meet them?
No,
What were you asked to do with the car?
just to return it to his mom's.
And once you arrived in Florida, Sister Susan, what was the scene? What did you encounter?
Well, as soon as we pulled up, police cars surrounded us. But the police knew who we were. They knew we were nonviolent. They knew we were, harmless.
Having learned now what you know about baby Holly, in looking back, does any of it seem suspicious to you?
No, brother, during those days, and we're saying, be nonviolent. People tried to kill us all the time. That was a daily occurrence. We were thrown in jail. We were beat up. We didn't fight back. We were dedicated.
What do you think happened to Dean and Tina?
Some evil demon picked them up and killed them.
And you don't believe it had anything to do with Christ's family?
No, of course not. We have been portrayed as a sturdy, rotten cult, and that is untrue.
And so in looking back, you understand why they gave up their baby.
Oh, of course. Everybody did. It wasn't like we weren't going to ever see him again, but there was work to do.
Thank you for talking with me, Sister Susan. I appreciate you taking the time for us.
Amen. I'm praying for you.
Thank you. Investigators have spoken to Sister Susan too, and they don't believe she had anything to do with Dean and Tina's homicide.
I don't think we ever go into a case knowing, it's solvable. In fact, it's just the opposite. You actually pick it up and think, is there anything else we can do on this case?
And all these years later, there is a new detail investigators are releasing right here tonight.
There was a woman who was known to frequent Yuma, and we do believe she was one of the people with Tina.
Could there be a clue that turns this case what they're about to reveal?
There's always hope on cold cases. Tips still to this day on this case, and we take every tip seriously. We look at everything, no matter how small of a detail.
Somebody's going to remember something.
Investigators are still hoping to find more members of that group, Christ's family. There's a woman by the name of Rosemary Garcia who's no longer alive, but they believe her daughters are. Rosemary and Tina were with that group traveling together.
They called her Rosemary and the 3 J's. And so we're hoping maybe we could locate them and see if they have any memories of Tina, remember Holly, maybe even possibly remember Dean, or anything associated to that time period in Yuma.
She has a photograph.
This one?
Yeah.
Even to this day, as Holly and the family awaits any new leads in Dean and Tina's case, they are actually working right now to help other families connect with missing loved ones too, using DNA.
Long time no see.
Hi, Allie.
A couple of big developments this week.
Your family feels strongly about the best way to remember Dean and Tina. They've set up a fund to help other families.
Yes, so they can end their suffering like they have had to suffer all these years.
The family has actually teamed up with one of the genealogists who made the fateful call to them 2 years ago.
We just got all the matches back, so
Right.
we're really just a couple of
Good.
days away from having her name. Yeah.
Awesome. There are a lot of people out there with missing family members. With DNA, there's just no reason why these missing people can't be found.
What's so incredible about this case is that after decades of feeling this profound loss with Dean and Tina, all these years later, that's now been tempered somewhat with the joy and the relief in finding Holly. How often do you think of your parents and what happened to them, not knowing?
Every day. Every day now. Not a day that goes by I don't think of them and what happened.
Because now you believe you know them.
I do. I've gotten to know them. And I miss them. So tell me about how my parents got married.
Okay, I came home from work that day and Junior
Must be difficult to think all the years you lived without your grandma Donna. And she was there all along.
But she was praying me through it. I had no idea. Prayer works. God does answer. You might have to wait 40 years.
And you did.
Yes, and it was definitely worth the wait.
You heard Holly there telling me that the wait was worth it, that she finally got to hug her grandmother, Donna. We did learn in recent days, Deborah, that Grandma Donna has passed away now at the age of 82. But Holly and the family grateful that they had the reunion, that they had this time together before saying goodbye.
Pretty extraordinary that they actually got that time together. Holly calling her grandmother a prayer warrior. Holly's new book, Finding Baby Holly, is out next week. Thanks for watching. I'm Deborah Roberts.
And I'm David Muir from all of us here at 2020 and ABC News. Good night.